Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder. And we're in the rare triangle position because we have a guest today.
Yes. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're new, what we normally do is we do a bunch of reviews, something old, something new, and then we also do a review of the latest X-Men 97 episode. Although ordinarily we do box office talk, but as DB pointed out, we have a guest this week, a special guest. You've probably, if you've been watching our show for any length of time, you've probably seen him in the chat. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce DRHINO. DRHINO, welcome to Critique Corner.
Well, it's Dr. Hino first.
Oh, Dr. Hino. Okay.
Or DRHINO, whichever one. Whatever my name is.
Yeah.
Right. He's always refused to come down strongly on any particular name.
I love when people I'd say, look, go with it,
Yeah.
I know what you mean at the end of the
day. Yeah. And good to see you, Ninja.
Hey, Ninja.
Hello, Ninja.
Yeah. So, Dr. Hino, or DRHINO, or however he likes to call himself, he is here because he's got a new book that is coming out soon, and we're going to be talking that over with him. Do we have any stuff we'd like to show off here? Let me.
Well, Daniel, would you like to? We could show off the trailer that he had set up.
Yes, let's do that. All right, let me get that up here.
Give him some more time to think of answers to the questions we submitted to him at the last minute.
Yes. All right, let me share my screen here. Okay. All right, let me. All right. Go wide there, and then, okay, audio is shared. Okay. Can everybody hear that? Okay.
Yep.
I hear it.
Very abnormal duo with the extra arms and everything.
Yeah, I love Sandy.
Look, if I had abs like that, I wouldn't wear a shirt either. So.
All right, very cool.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, working with different creative minds. Minds and all that, dude. I totally underestimated how long it would take me. It's been 4 years, really, if you guys can believe that.
Wow.
Like a whole game development cycle, I guess.
Yeah. At least a double A development cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just glad. I'm very happy that it's finally out, and that I don't seem like I'm just peddling some lie. Like, oh, it's coming out, guys. It's coming out like George R. R. Martin. Yeah, 10 years later, still coming out, guys.
Yeah.
God.
I heard something kind of hilarious recently. Somebody's suggestion was, well, they should have just gotten some anime writers and to help them with the filler arc. You just have a beach episode you have a teleportation portal that breaks at the end of the episode so that you can explain why the characters all got together, and then you just put them back where they started, and you got a season.
Yeah, there you go.
Write that down. Write that down.
Power
Yeah,
to that crap.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So what we're looking at, this is the front cover of the book. My boy Nefarious Watcher, shout out to him, made this, and honestly, I love how we went with the direction of the tarot card because I wanted a specific theme with the book covers. Well, the front covers, I mean, of each book, and I was like, well, I wouldn't mind making it a tarot theme because, I mean, let's be honest, some of those illustrations go pretty hard, especially with different interpretations, as long as they follow the specific trait or characteristic of what that card is represents.
Right.
So I was inspired by the Hanged Man tarot card, and so I'm sorry with that, and also just the classic. Geez, I'm not good with my card games here, but with how with they have like those the different I say like opposite sides looking at each other or like staring different directions, like the king or the queen. They like that. So I
Right.
like
Right.
yeah, that's why I like.
Like a take on
That's where I
playing
got it
cards.
from too.
Yeah, yeah. Playing. Yeah, like DB was saying, playing cards. Yeah,
Playing cards. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
it's all right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, that would be pretty nice. Just have that sort of contrast there and get you all interested and then start asking questions like, oh, who is this guy and who is that guy and yada yada yada.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. It definitely implies sort of a yin yang thing with the two of them there. A
Yeah.
lot of duality here because it's divided across the middle, but you also have the different colored wings, which could be symbolic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So it's time for the interrogation.
Oh
Yes.
boy. Here we go.
All right. Here, pretend we're the publisher. Give us the elevator pitch. What is this book about?
When dealing with a family that are divine, especially with the godlings, Ragnarøkkr Strings, the patriarchal god, is tasked with raising his 6 children and also understanding how to be a better father. He tries different ways of getting them integrated with mortal life, and it becomes a journey in itself because it's like a coming of age story with the main focus being his children. So it's not really a dilemma or anything, but there are um, there are a few certain, let's just say, pressures or instances where something happens and he has to discipline his kids because again these are godlings, they're not just regular mortals or beings or anything like that. They have responsibilities that they
Yeah.
need to adhere to when they're older.
Okay, so it's a bit of a family drama with gods.
Yeah, it is. There's so much going on with that first section of the book, and it's not to be complicated. It's fairly simple to follow. Each, I'm sorry. Um, there are few chapters where each one focuses on a pair, really,
Mhm.
and just to get people, well, get readers acclimated to these characters instead of just throwing them all in at one point in time. You're like, okay, this character does that, this character does this, um, this what happens, and that's what. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want
Right.
to. I don't want to make reading a chore for the reader. So it's better to divide and conquer, as they say, and just make sure that the bases are covered in a simplistic way, and then build up to uh, what the rising action, the tension, and all that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I was noticing that you had each of the six kids were kind of divided up into three pairs. So that makes sense because that makes them more digestible.
Yeah, especially with the the little titles like the absolute duo. the abnormal duo, the incompatible halves. Just easy things to like little seeds to plant into the reader's mind. Like, okay, I know who these two are from this pair. Oh, and it seems like we got a comment. Okay, nice.
Oh no, I posted the link to the book in the chat. So.
Okay, I see.
Now, is he their father by blood? Because it kind of sounded like you said that he was tasked with raising them, or is it more adoptive than that?
No, those are his children, all biological.
Same mother?
3 different mothers.
I had a feeling. It's like, is each pair from a different mother?
Yes.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like not like a messy divorce or anything like that. And it's just a certain circumstance that brought them together, and they did the best that they can before let's just say something happened in the prologue of the first chapter. I mean, the prologue of the first book.
Now, is that something that happened? This shirtless guy.
Well, you can speculate. You can speculate.
It seems likely.
You would think so.
Likely
You would think so. You can speculate all you want, but the answer might surprise you whenever you get to the revelation later in the book.
Okay.
All right.
Like
Now,
when you go back to Ragnarøkkr, he may look evil just because how he is, but that's a very caring father. That's a very kind deity.
Okay.
I mean, I'd assume that he kind of actually makes me think of a character like Venom or Kaiju number 8, where they have kind of a monstrous appearance, but looks are deceiving.
Yeah, that's if I ever get to the explanation of how that came to be, it's kind of doesn't involve a bald guy, a bald bad guy.
No, we've seen the bad guy. He has a luscious set of hair here.
Yes.
All right. So second question. Now we kind of have the basic idea of the story down. Who would you say that this book is for? What's your target audience?
My target audience is for mature readers. Anyone starting at the age of 18 on up. If you love dark fantasy, especially mature dark fantasy, and you know things like Berserk or Elfen Lied, stuff like that, you know what's up. It tends to start off fair in a slow burn, but when things get going, it punches heavy. So that's my audience right there.
Okay, so kiddies need not apply.
Yes.
No, absolutely not. I'm pretty scared too with some. I'm very scared about some people trying to bring that around kids. I'm like, no, I don't want this book being in a library.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Where did you get this idea? What were your influences?
This idea, oh my gosh, this idea began 10, 11 years ago. And it was influenced by Final Fantasy VI and just Final Fantasy music in general. I love the music, or I should say, I love the soundtrack of Final Fantasy VI because I like to listen to music that don't really involve a lot of lyrics, just instrumental, and there's a mood to it. And when there's a mood, there's this concept of like this character I could think of, and it happens fairly quickly in my opinion, for me, really. And when you just resonate with that one song or a couple of songs, you're like, okay, this actually, I can start building something off of this, really. Well, again, that's me. That's how I operate. Maybe some people need those lyrics, but for me, it's just instrumentals. Hell, I even say classical. If you want to get to Mozart, Bach, is it Wolf?
You mean Wolfgang Beta of
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Beethoven?
yeah.
Right.
Beethoven. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
Uh,
trying to think of that last one.
so kind of the feel of a really good, intense classical song.
Yes, I mean I'll even do like the the people, well, the modern age classical stuff too. Some of that stuff is good, but at the heart of it, Final Fantasy. Don't know why. I can't even explain it to y'all. It's just look. I like it. It's fantasy, and you can do a lot of things in fantasy. Why not make it fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. The villain in particular, I could see being drawn to that. You know how the Final Fantasy covers classically would be like the white painterly drawings, all like by the one guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could see these characters being done in that.
Yeah.
yeah. That's yeah. I think yeah. You unlocked something to me right there because I do remember being specific about certain design choices. I'm not saying like I micromanage my artists to do that, but just like, oh, hang on, let's like I like to give them a lot of freedom, but when there's a structure to follow, they usually they usually are perfect with. And I'm glad I'm able to not encounter any problems with that because the artists that I pick, we've established a good relationship like way before I started doing this book, so they know how I operate and work, and it just everything just flows, man.
Yep, I get you.
Yeah.
I've got some artists that I've worked with enough times that they kind of know the questions to ask, and I know what they need. Like some artists want something spelled out, some artists want just to be able to do their own thing with it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely get that too. I mean, I've had that with Bogdan.
yeah. Bogdan's the OG,
Oh
definitely an
yeah.
OG.
Yeah.
Next question: what was your favorite part of writing it?
do you do you want to talk about characters or chapter wise?
Uh, I mean, like, what part of the writing process, and it could be either a particular chapter or a particular character that you enjoyed the most.
Man, character, it's hard to tell. I love every single one of them, even the ones that are minor that don't have a lot of screen time. I love them because they do play uh, importance to everything that comes around. It's like the hero's journey almost, but skewed, and it makes a lot of sense when you get to the end game of it. But for chapter wise, chapter 15, there's something magical about that chapter. I loved it ever since I started writing that chapter. You're talking about babes in the forest, and that's not really a spoiler because
Mhm.
I talked about it numerous times in that book, but you got babes in the forest, and there's this problem that requires certain characters to go there, and let's just say the problem kind of escalates to a degree that they didn't think would ever be fathomable, and it makes you, and I hope it makes the reader like wonder, like, man, what what the hell happened, you know?
So that's the moment when the shoe drops.
Oh, dude, chapter 15. If it's not that chapter, I don't know what it is to make
Mhm.
you go, holy s. We got a real threat here.
Mm. All right.
All right. What was your least favorite part of writing it? And you are
The
allowed to
editing,
say things like editing. Yeah,
the
the bane of
editing,
yeah.
freaking editing. Me
Yeah.
literally rereading that 4 freaking times, making sure that I, in great detail, have put things down that makes sense, or just that doesn't need to be there, and it's just out, or just renaming a couple things because I found I got a better name for him, or just naming events. I mean, God, man, editing. Gee, we're talking about a book. If you get it in print, 590 pages. If you get it in Kindle or digital, I mean 612 or 21, I think. Either way, it's that's a long freaking book, man. I love it, but
Yeah.
man, with that editing, I hate it.
So sometimes it's like giving birth. It's like you love the end point, but a lot of misery once it gets started.
There's only a couple times. Well, not a couple. There are a lot of times where I'm like, oh god, yeah, I remember this part. I love it, and then just this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we both know what you mean there.
Yep. It'd be great if it was perfect the first time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I try. I thought I was doing a great job. I'll be
It
honest.
never
Okay,
happens. It
yeah,
never happens.
Yeah.
I remember. Well, the little things that I showed you guys on Twitter, the little samples, they weren't actually like they were actually double spaced originally, like a script almost. And I thought I was gonna go that route, but then I was like, no, this is stupid. It takes way too many. It's way too many pages, and plus, things are just not good. Again, Neff or Nefarious Watcher helped me with that, and so I manually, God, man, I manually went through all that, restructured it, reformatted it, found some very infuriating just circumstances with doing the reformatting, finding paragraphs that they're not really paragraphs, or indents that shouldn't even be there. And it's like, come on, man. I was like, this can't be that bad. And then no, it's real bad, dude. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
you gotta clean it up again and again and again.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And then what is something that you wish you could tell your past self about going through this process?
You should have written it earlier. You should have written it earlier. Um, don't hesitate. It wasn't. Don't hesitate. Just write it. Once you get past that 20+ mark page, you're good to go.
It is funny how like once it's a certain length, it has more momentum and it's easier to add words to it.
Yeah, I when I began writing it, I wasn't thinking of it becoming a book until I made it to that specific page, and I'm like, I could turn this into a book. And
Yep.
this is during the height of COVID, and I just plugged away so many pages within a day, like almost every day, except for the time I maybe got sick. I wasn't sick with COVID. I just more like a seasonal flu or something, just something minor.
Yeah, a lot of creative projects really got started when a lot of people had some time to think to themselves.
Yeah, I mean that can make or break you. You get some people just get lost in their thoughts. Some just are so preoccupied they don't do anything, and then the ones that are just like, man, I gotta do something about this. So they do,
Gotta
and
hustle.
you know,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
it's funny in a way, like how something like that happened. There's different results. It really makes me think. It makes me think in perspective. Like, dude, just one little change here and there. I probably wouldn't have made this book
Mm.
if that never happened.
Yeah, it is just funny how the right thing in your ear at the right moment can just totally change your lifestyle,
Yeah,
path of your life.
yeah. I mean, hell, I'm I met y'all. I met a lot of other creative individuals. I pushed my, went down the route of going through YouTube, Twitter, seeing what that's like, experiencing it, actually taking, getting out of my comfort zone, and just like, okay, uh, what do I do now? And then I start playing. Uh, I'm kind of tongue tied here because I mean, I'm just thinking of everything that happened literally in the past 4 years, and I'm just like, man, that time really went by.
Yeah. Well, you had a lot of other living to do besides the writing. If you could just write yourself, or if you could just lock yourself in a closet for a few weeks, I do think that to myself occasionally. Like, if I could just lock myself like down for a few weeks, and not have to go to work or deal with people, I'd get so much done. But on the other
Yeah.
hand, I'd also probably go insane. So it's
Yeah, we are social creatures, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
well. Thank you for dealing with our interrogation.
Yes.
That's it. We were asking the hard questions. Where were you at this time? Gosh. But if you guys want me to talk about the characters, I know there's like plenty more. I wouldn't
Uh,
mind.
Well, just for time, so quick
Yeah.
reminder to everybody: the title of the book, "Gods and Goddesses, Children of Ragnarøkkr." Was it Ragnarøkkr? Ragnarøkkr?
However you want to pronounce it.
You and your ambivalent pronunciation.
I say Ragnarok here. Some people say Ragnarok here. Some people say Ragnarok.
Uh,
Either way, but no, seriously. I just say Ragnarok here,
Ragnarok,
Okay.
or just to make it easier for people, and simple and all that. And gosh, learning that KDP stuff,
Oh God.
the system and the Amazon. And they finally reviewed the book passed, but I'm waiting. I'm in that 72-hour wait of it being having its own thing, its own page. I mean, and
Oh,
just
the print. Oh, for the print page. Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Well, I have the
There's
digital pre-ordered, so
oh, thank you. I hope it's to your liking because it's gonna be a journey, man. I promise.
yep. Well, we definitely want to support you.
yes,
Um,
definitely.
I don't know what to say. I'm kind of tongue tied. I'm very happy.
well, that's okay. Speaking of people who, oh no, I think most people in this episode did kind of know what to say. Transition time.
Transition, yes.
All right. X-Men 97.
Yes. Yeah. So we're on episode 8, or is it 9? 8.
No, I don't.
We're close to
I
10.
think we're on 6. Let's see here. Quickly to the research.
I put 8 in the description, so hopefully I got that right.
Here's the thing. It's been so long since I've been doing appointment television that
Yeah.
it's easy to keep track.
Okay. Ninja
Okay.
says it's 8.
Okay, it was 8.
8. All right.
See, I think in my mind I mentally delete the Storm episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because those were like.
They were there.
Yes. Yeah. So episode 8 picks up after the incident in Mandapore when the X-Men find out that the new baddie, the big baddie Bastion, is making human form Sentinels. Basically, they're kind of like the Borg. I noticed they're very much like
Yeah.
they're being assimilated. Yeah.
Oh, like the Cybermen from Doctor Who,
Yeah.
kind of.
Kind
Okay.
of, yeah. Yeah, similar to that, yeah.
Like most of the time they're indistinguishable from regular person, but then their powers activate and it's basically like dealing with a sentinel the size of a person.
Yeah. And we find out that it was developed by Mr. Sinister, and it was he gave the virus to Nathan Summers as a baby, and then Bishop took him to the future, and now Nathan Summers is Cable.
Yep. I listened to Rob Liefeld's podcast on Cable, and people were very excitedly emailing and messaging him when Cable showed up.
Yeah. Yeah. What was interesting was when I was hearing the voice, at first I thought that they actually got Josh Brolin back to play Cable again, because he sounds a lot like Josh Brolin, but it's not. It's actually the original voice actor for Cyclops from the old show.
That's appropriate.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. But well, we found out in the last episode that Magneto did not die in Genosha, and he's being held captive by Bastion and about to be turned into another human form Sentinel. And we find out that he's Bastion's got some very powerful friends.
Yes, Baron Zemo, Doctor Doom, what I presume was Madam Hydra, that you couldn't get a good look at her.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Madam Hydra. If you got Doctor Doom, yes, it's gonna be her.
Yeah,
right. Like what other villainess in the Marvel universe would be on that sort of level?
Exactly.
Yeah. Although okay, I'm gonna just say it right now. I don't think we're gonna get the Marvel characters in a major way. Like I think that I could be wrong, but I think that the only clash you're going to have between an X-Man and a Marvel character is when Rogue was pissy and threw away Captain America's shield.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
So this episode has less. Well, okay, it has less subplot than some of the others have had, because you have a lot of big action scenes, and holy crap. Like some episodes have had some kind of janky animation in places. This was amazing fight animation.
It was, yeah. There's a really great sequence in there with where the in the mansion where Wolverine and Nightcrawler are fighting a bunch of the human Sentinels.
Yeah.
In Nightcrawler, so they keep doing interesting things with the characters that you wouldn't think of. I don't think I recall Nightcrawler fighting with 3 swords at once, using his tail as a limb.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen that either.
I think I sort of want to say yeah in a way, because X-Men 2, the live action, I want to say, but with it was just the knife. It wasn't with swords, obviously. But I was just like, well,
right, yeah,
I kind of see it.
Yeah. Ninja says a good thing Magneto was unconscious, otherwise it would result in an Ultimate Alliance situation.
What a good game!
Yeah.
What a great game! I mean,
I only ever played the second one, and I played the Wii version. And then years later, I found out that the 360 and PS3 versions had these character trailers, and I'm like, oh. And then I got more annoyed because I said to myself, wait, the 360 version fit on one DVD. The Wii version didn't have as much textures. There was space on that DVD for the trailers, you cheap bastards.
Yeah.
Anyway, still a fun game, but the gimped version. Yeah, you got all these really cool fight scenes. Wolverine, he's been kind of in the background the whole time. He got to just cut loose because, he was dealing with robots, and that was always the rule in X-Men. If you weren't a robot, if Wolverine would either be punching and tackling you without his claws for some reason, or he'd be ineffectual.
Right. Yeah. It's those pesky standards and practices that they had with with kids shows.
Yep. Really hurt Wolverine the most, but you got all sorts of cool things like Wolverine teleporting with Nightcrawler at one point, and like showing Wolverine's first-person perspective of just how disorienting it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty neat. Yeah.
I almost thought something had gone wrong, but then I realized, no, this is just what teleporting looks like.
Yeah.
You got to have Jean, Scott, and Cable in a plane/car chase with an army of these Biosentinels.
Yeah. Yeah, they go to Bastion's childhood home where his elderly mother is, and then we get into his backstory a little bit, where there's a lot of as they would say in Doctor Who, timey-wimey wobbly stuff going on.
Wobble,
wobble, yeah.
All right, where somebody in the future manipulated the genes of Bastion's father so that he would be born a human sentinel.
Right. Yeah. And it just says at least Wolverine had a bunch of solo episodes of the OG show. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what? Honestly, as much as I love Wolverine, he's my favorite childhood character. I still love a good Wolverine story. You don't want to have it be Wolverine and the X-Men, which I hear is a fine cartoon, but he should not be the only primary character of X-Men. That's been kind of what's been nice with this series.
Yeah. They've given more more of the characters time to shine. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really, as far as if we look at the characters on this cover, the character that suffered the most was Bishop. It's like, was he just there so that he could take Cable to the future? I think he was just there so he could take Cable to the future.
I think he was. Yeah.
And for a couple of fight scenes, but still.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like this whole episode is just a series of hype notes,
Mhm.
culminating in. Look, if you've been watching these reviews by now, you should expect some spoilers. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I guess we should address the subplot. Sunspot does finally, he is finally outed as a mutant
Mhm.
in a way that his parents can't deny. And he and Jubilee get some. So it's funny. The show actually kind of subverts expectations in a fun way, because with all the wild and crazy ways that characters have been using their powers, and like Cyclops using his impact beams to scoot around, like
Mhm.
like he's sliding.
Yeah.
Um, all the ways that Gambit used his kinetic charging.
Mhm.
It looks like Jubilee's about to jump from one roof to another using her firework powers to propel herself. Does not work.
Nope. she makes it about 2 feet in the air and then.
And Sunspot catches her. And I remember thinking, wait, Sunspot can fly? And then Jubilee goes, wait, you can fly?
Yeah.
Or she just been going, everyone can fly but me. Then she goes, you too?
Yeah.
They fly now?
Oh. Oh. No.
You mean it.
Uh,
I had to do it. I'm sorry.
yeah. Somehow Palpatine returned.
God.
Okay,
Somehow
transition.
Magneto returned.
Somehow
Yeah.
Magneto returned because
Yeah.
he ends this episode, and I remember thinking the whole time, I don't see how the X-Men are going to solve this. It is a Borg situation.
Yeah.
Once you have a
Mhm.
Borg infestation, you have to do like a Warhammer 40K Exterminatus to cleanse the Earth or something to just make sure they're gone.
Yeah. And that's basically what he does.
Yeah. Magneto goes up to the North Pole after he escapes with the help of a human character who a lot of people I think were theorizing online was Mystique in disguise, but I guess that theory is debunked now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't. No, that does. It would be interesting if they. I guess they decide to flesh her out if they ever do. I mean, could be, a potential new character right there that might have a following at some point in time in the future, maybe.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess as much as emphasis as they've been giving Nightcrawler and Rogue, it would make sense to have some more Mystique moments later.
Yeah.
guess-
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We'll just have to
Yeah.
wait for that. But
Yeah.
Magneto goes to the North Pole and proceeds to EMP the entire planet, shutting down all technology simultaneously, including the fleshy Sentinels.
Yes. And then right around that same time, guess who's back?
Somehow, Professor X returned.
Yes.
I mean,
and yeah.
I mean, okay, we know somehow with his girlfriend's spaceship.
Yes.
Yep.
And and Ninja mentions it too here. We also had a cameo from our favorite web slinger.
Yes,
What?
Spider did actually have a little cameo in the original '90s X-Men cartoon. I distinctly remember this.
Mhm.
It was like when Phoenix was going out of control and the Earth was going to get destroyed. At one point, you have some like a disaster's happening in New York, and you see his hand come out onto the panel, and he's webbing something.
Uh,
So you get to see much more of him this time.
yeah. Now, is this the same Spider-Man from the cartoon show, the
Like
90s
the
cartoon show?
'90s. Yeah, I
Good
hope so.
question. Unanswered.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, that Spider-Man had a much bigger cameo from the X-Men in his own cartoon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching that. Yeah. But yeah.
So, yeah, like it was like a 2-episode miniseries for that one.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't know about you guys, but the whole time I'm watching this, I keep thinking, "Holy crap! They are swinging for the fences on this one."
Hmm.
And while the show can occasionally move a bit too quickly, like I would say that we maybe could have used a couple of episodes in between Cable showing up again and then figuring out that he's Nathan.
Yeah.
The, the credit I'll give them is that since they are pulling from the old cartoon and Cable had multiple episodes in that one, that it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I remember hearing from another YouTuber, one that we watch, Jester Bell. She was saying that I guess Bo DeMeo, the guy who was in charge of the show, he was kind of lamenting that they could only do 10 episodes. That he kind of wished they could
Mhm.
do the old traditional 22 episode season. That way, some of those storylines could get fleshed out, and you know don't feel like all the episodes are so rushed. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so it was a known issue.
Hmm.
Okay, you know what? This is one of those shows where I would say this kind of gets the same sort of mental treatment for me as, say, the Star Wars prequels does, where it's like, okay, you have a great idea, and sometimes the execution is lacking in little places, but the overall effect is good.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Except
I
that
agree with that.
this one you don't have to have as many caveats as you do for the prequels.
Right. Yeah.
The worst I could say is that you can safely skip episodes 4 and 6 and just assume that Storm got better off camera.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I remember people saying that this show was going to be bad, but then when it came out, I, people were quick to praise it, and rightfully so. So I just kind of wonder. I was like, I was kind of in the boat too. I'll be honest. I was kind of in the boat where I was like, okay, it's going to be something really stupid. They're just using nostalgia just to twist and turn something that we once loved into this whole big, thing that shouldn't be. But I've been thoroughly surprised with what I've seen.
Yeah.
Especially with I forgot the guy's name, the director,
Both
the
of
director.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna use it as like a preaching position, but no. And just to find out that they actually like got rid of him after, I was like, that's kind of. It makes me wonder, like, okay, it's obvious that he has a lot of love for this, so is it like some internal conflict? It has to be some internal conflict where they're thinking, where you got those weirdos in one side, just him on the other side. Just like, no, we're
Yeah.
gonna do it this way. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna make it into this whole uh uh big topic of whatever the usual stuff they use as propaganda or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
so.
here's the thing is that you can pull things from it if you want to, but it's doing what the X-Men has historically been good at doing, which is couching issues in a fantastical way that makes you think about it. Like it takes the labels out of
Right,
it and makes you think a little
Yeah.
bit.
right,
Right.
yeah, exactly. Compared to the new stuff in what's going on in the comics.
Man,
Oh,
Mm.
maybe that's why they fired him because he was embarrassing them too much.
that's why. That's probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Those
Yeah.
type of
Maybe.
people are very jealous.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I haven't heard anything else about that whole OnlyFans situation that happened right before the show dropped. And
Wait, what?
Yeah. Apparently, he supposedly had an OnlyFans account.
that was reportedly of a non-adult nature, and then it may have turned out to be an adult nature,
Yeah.
um, which I don't know. I only know what I heard.
Yeah.
Uh, I
I
don't know if that was an excuse because, like,
I think so. It
this
sounds like
is this is so good that
Yeah.
uh, I'm going to say something like there was an interview that happened before it came out. The show kind of showed a lot of the usual red flags.
yeah,
Like talking about how he was going to pull from his experience. Like, he said something to the effect of, "I am a gay black man with
I
an
remember that.
adopted Asian sister. I'm going to pull from that experience to form the show."
Yeah.
Well, it turned out that what he meant was that he was going to pull from his experience of feeling like being othered to write these mutants, which is exactly the best case scenario for that line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's who the X-Men have traditionally been. They've been, they've been the outsiders and looked down upon. And yeah, which which still is really kind of confusing, given that he checks all those boxes off that they like so much. Those diversity boxes, and they you know they still got rid of them. It's like,
It just goes to show that uh, talent is everywhere, and so and that anybody can be a real fan of the series. So
yeah,
uh, uh, the thing is that when I was so shocked. I
yeah,
just uh,
yeah,
when this show actually came out and was great, because I kept thinking to myself, okay, it's time for another drubbing of something I loved when I was a kid.
yeah, yeah,
I'll probably watch an episode or two for the show, and then but no, like this is now the only show that I'm really watching week to week.
yeah, yeah. Same here.
yeah. I I I hope they don't try to renew it for another season because
I
I
think
want
they have.
I want
Yeah,
to say
oh,
that it
they
was
have.
well.
yeah,
So my understanding is that Bo was involved with 2 seasons worth,
yeah,
and it's a possible third season that wouldn't have him involved.
yeah,
That
I mean, it's still. I think it's still a little bit too early just to tell. It may have. This season may be good. Like Castlevania, that first season may be good, but then when you get later down the line, it kind of starts. Okay, what's going on here?
yeah,
I,
yep.
I'm, I'm
I mean, here's the thing: it can always go wrong, but for the time being, I'm just so happy that it went right.
yes, yeah. Me too. And Ninja mentioned something kind of interesting. He was surprised there wasn't much controversy with Rogue dropping Trask. Well, that might come up later on. You never know.
Right? Are you talking controversy online? Because I've been seeing some people.
I think he meant controversy within the characters on the show.
Mm. Well, to be fair, when they found shortly after they found out about it, Rogue was wound up in a coma, and she's still been in a coma in the midst of a larger disaster. It might be a conversation later.
Yeah,
Uh, I, I saw somebody speculating that Rogue made an enemy of General Thunderbolt Ross in that episode
yeah.
when he had thought that the
yeah.
X-Men were good guys up to that point. We know how he treats the Hulk, so she may have just made more trouble for them in the future.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. He meant online. Yeah.
Uh, there's some controversy. Part of it is that there's a lot of people out there who have an inability to divorce their love of a character from their behavior.
Hmm.
Like, oh, I really enjoy and sympathize with this character, therefore anything they do is okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Griffith did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that Daniel, would that be safe to say that was the high point of our week of reviewing stuff?
I would say so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's time to move down the quality totem pole slightly.
Yes. And D Rhino will just be kind of like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
So
she's a
like,
5.
shots fired.
She's a
Ouch.
5. I seen better.
5.
I'll say Scarlett Johansson is way better, so much better than her.
I disagree slightly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute myself now.
Oh,
All right. All right.
okay.
So anyone but you. This Another Sydney Sweeney movie. Definitely the better of the two Sydney Sweeney movies I've reviewed this year. The other one being Madam Web.
Yeah, this is the only Sydney Sweeney movie I've seen, so I've gotten a little bit of a taste of her acting, which is okay.
Yeah. And she's acting opposite of Glenn Powell from Top Gun Maverick. And what was the other movie we saw with him in it?
Devotion
Devotion. That's right.
with Jonathan Majors.
He really seems to be. I don't know. He's not a star yet, but he's definitely getting himself out there in a lot of different movies from a lot of different studios.
Yeah, he's in the Twister sequel later this year.
Hmm.
Um,
Which that seems like a misbegotten idea in general, but based on his track record, he'll be good in it.
Yeah. I was going to say that this is the first movie we've seen with him where he isn't playing a fighter pilot. So
That's true.
yeah,
well, we don't know that. We don't know his backstory. He could have theoretically been in the military at one point.
that's true.
There's
Yeah.
nothing saying he couldn't have been.
Yeah.
Okay, headcanon. He was a fighter pilot at one point.
Yes. Okay. There we go. But yeah. So Anyone But You starts off where we meet Sydney Sweeney's character, and her name's B. And then she goes into a coffee shop. She's got to use the bathroom, but they say no. You got to buy something, and of course the line to buy something is really long. And then Glenn Powell is in line, who's playing Ben, and he offers to, he pretends to be her husband and says, "Hey, honey, you really like your whatever," and so then he gets her the key to the bathroom, and of course when she's in the bathroom she's in there washing her hands, and she turns the faucet too high, and then it her jeans get wet, and it looks like she had an accident.
Yeah, that's kind of where we establish some of the tone of this movie, where there is definitely some body humor in both senses: BODY humor and BAWDY humor.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Ben and B have their little cute story. They really dig each other. Of course, B is on a break from her boyfriend, and but they go back to his place, and I don't know if they actually did the deed,
Let's hear.
because they woke up the next morning, and they were still wearing their clothes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The movie treats it like they did the deed.
Yeah.
What was this rated? Was it rated R?
Oh, no, it was rated R.
Okay, yeah, I forgot. What the later scene absolutely was rated R.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie's not for kids, by the way.
No, we're teens.
Yeah.
But so then, of course, you have everything's been going so well, and this almost feels like the third act of a romantic comedy. What's going on here? Then you have a misunderstanding, because Sydney, who's kind of afraid of commitment and everything, leaves the apartment, and then she gets warm feet, I guess, and goes back. And Ben, feeling a little bit like he was taken advantage of, is talking with his buddy, and she overhears him saying, "Oh yeah, she was nothing."
Yeah, she was a disaster. Yeah.
Right. He was just trying to make himself feel better.
Yeah.
But she overheard it and took it personally.
Yes. Yeah. Then we flash forward 6 months, and we come to find out that they have some mutuals. So Ben's best friend's sister and Sydney Sweeney's sister, B's sister, sorry, are a couple, and they're getting married
At a destination marriage in Australia.
Yes, yes, Sydney and Sydney. Yeah, and so they all have to go to Australia for now we get the real get into the nitty gritty of the humor, where they're all staying at the house of the friend Ben's friends' parents, and they are of course, it's very clear that they can tell that Ben and B are not getting along. They're constantly sniping at each other, and um, so they're worried that their negativity is going to ruin the whole wedding, and so they. They come to they come to the realization that, oh, these two they actually really do like each other, but they're just
Mhm.
they're not showing it very well, so they're trying to get them together, and because
Right.
they don't want them to ruin the wedding.
Right. It's like we just had to have them uh, bump some uglies and be happy with each other long enough to get married.
Right. And that's where it really gets silly, I think.
Yeah. So, so I'd say this movie's moments of strength are when Sydney and Glenn are on camera together because they definitely have some chemistry.
Yeah, I want to say that they were a couple at the time when they were making this movie, which would explain a lot.
Yep. Definitely
Um,
very comfortable with each other. They banter well. You just like watching them bounce off each other.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of they kind of have that Bruce Willis, Sybil Shepherd moonlighting thing going on. If for anyone old enough to remember moonlighting.
So it's a little bit antagonistic, but
Mhm.
you can tell that there's like some sparks under there.
Yeah, and we were talking before the show, or as during the week, that the probably the greatest weakness with the movie is the supporting cast. They just
Yeah.
the actor who plays Ben's friend was very stilted and wooden, like
So his name is Gata,
Gata.
um, and he's listed on IMDb as having a single name,
So yeah,
which I don't know if that means that he is some sort of musician,
yeah.
actor, and producer. Man, his IMDb page is a real stub.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so he's relatively new. And then
I gotta say that okay, he's an American rapper. Okay, that
okay, okay. So he's not an actor by uh not firstly an actor. He's a musician. So
best known for himself as the fictionalized version of himself named Daviante Dave Ganter / Gata in the FXX TV series Dave.
oh, I've heard of that show.
Um, what I'll say is that his character, it is weird. His character is, I actually kind of, okay, so his mother and father, and I'm mixing up characters. Was his dad one of the Australian ones? Like,
His dad was actually I think it was stepdad.
okay,
Yeah, stepdad was Australian, and then his mom was played by can't remember the actress's name, but she was in Star Trek Picard.
okay,
Yeah, and what's interesting is with Sydney Sweeney's or B's parents.
Michelle Hurd.
Yeah. Michelle Hurd is she was the mom of Gata's
Okay,
character. And then with Sydney Sweeney's character, her parents, the dad was Dermot Mulroney, and he was in another movie very similar to this one called The Wedding Date,
Hmm.
where it was about a character. She has to go to a destination. She's going to a destination wedding in London. Her sister's getting married, and like her ex is like the best man, I think was what it was. And Dermot Mulroney is a male escort that she hires to be her date to the wedding.
Oh,
Yeah, so
so he was also apparently in Secret Invasion. So this is
mm.
so bad Marvel related projects are in this movie's DNA, I guess.
Yeah. um, but yeah, it's
I can't think of Actually, I'll say that there was a character there who was Ben's ex, who was believable in the role.
Yeah.
Like you definitely saw some sparks between the two of them, and you saw why she was kind of the other woman. B's character arc was kind of predictable. Like she had the good upbringing, and she had the childhood friend who her parents expected her to marry, and she was going to law school, but she dropped out, and she doesn't want to disappoint them, and
Yeah. Yeah.
very much like sort of the backstory of a Sandra Bullock movie or something like that.
Yeah. 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 This movie has all of the tropes you would expect from a romantic comedy. And of course, including the big finale where one of the characters confesses their love for the other one
Right, in a big dramatic way.
in a big, yeah.
Literally threw himself off a cliff so that he would get rescued by Harbor Patrol so he could get to where she was in time.
Yes. Yeah, because there was a scene earlier where they're trying to convince the group that they are actually, oh yeah, we're a couple, we really like each other, and they get on they do like a boat thing for the rehearsal dinner, and then they're at the front doing the Titanic, and then she ends up falling overboard, and then he jumps overboard to rescue her, even though it's like kind of pointless for him to do that, but yeah.
The weird thing is that I was thinking at the time, this kind of feels like it could be the climax of the movie. I wonder where they're going to go from here. And the answer was, of course, you have a sort of a pileup of liar revealed storylines where, he told somebody that she had dropped out of law school, and it was Gata, and he told somebody else, and so her parents found out, and she was upset with him, and um,
Yeah, and then they revealed that, oh yeah, we were trying to get you guys to bump uglies so that you would stop
Right.
fighting and keep you from ruining the wedding, and yeah.
So I would say, like, character wise, the entire secondary cast, I found them almost universally insufferable for one reason or another. They were at
Yeah,
least distinct reasons, but
yeah, they were just, I didn't, yeah, they were, I found them very annoying, and the was the probably the most uncomfortable scene for me was when they're standing at the cliff, and they're pretending like they're really liking each other, and then all the other characters just go over to a tree to stare at a koala.
and God is like, don't take a photo, don't take his spirit. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, just like, by the way, koalas can be mean animals.
Yeah. They're the smoothest brained mammals on the planet. And so, interestingly, when he handed it a branch of eucalyptus to eat, that's realistic because they're too stupid to recognize leaves if you put them in a bowl.
uh,
So you have to give it to them on the branch still. But they also, they can take a chunk out of you if they decide they don't like you.
yeah, yeah, but
But so I would say, like, overall, I think this is probably the worst of the three things we reviewed this week, but it's also not bad. Um, if I have one criticism of it, I didn't necessarily need to see the one character's tackle in that shower scene.
no, I didn't either. No. Well, they're Aussies, so nudity is not you know
Yeah,
a thing for them. They don't care. But yeah, I didn't need to see that either.
this one definitely emphasizes the female gaze more than the male gaze, which I get it. Romantic comedy. That's who the audience is primarily. So
Right. Yeah. Um. But yeah, it was all right. I mean, there were a couple of parts in there that I was kind of chuckling at, um, and and I disagree with DRHINO here. She's
oh
not a 5.
no, Sydney would actually be a decent actress choice for my character Rose from my books.
Yeah, and I have a character in my comic books that she could, or a comic book that I'm working on that she could probably play. So yeah.
Yep. But so yeah, thoroughly middle of the road. It's currently streaming on Netflix.
Mhm.
So if you have Netflix and you like romantic comedies at all, just make sure the kids are at the friend's house.
Indeed, yes. But yeah.
And we unintentionally picked out things for sort of a romantic comedy theme this week because our second movie is the Mel. I just noticed that the cover just calls them Mel and Goldie. Were they ever a celebrity couple or something like that?
They were not. No. Goldie Hawn has been in a long time relationship with Kurt Russell,
Oh, that's right.
and Mel Gibson uh, was married to, well, his wife at the time. I don't think she was an actress.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Wait,
Was her daughter Madam?
yeah, Goldie Hawn's daughter is Kate Hudson.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Man, it's like we had to balance out the good Marvel stuff from X-Men '97 with stuff related. I know Kate Hudson, different actress. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking of what's her name? Who's the star of Madam Web? Who's a nepo baby?
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson. I was mixing her up with that, so never mind.
Yeah. Dakota Johnson's mom is, I think, Millie Griffith.
Okay.
And
Kate Hudson is good stuff.
Yeah. I want to say Wyatt Russell is Goldie's son. Wyatt Russell played.
You are correct.
Yeah. He was John Walker in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The best part of that show, by the way.
I guess we should talk about the actual movie at hand.
Yeah. I guess we should talk about the actual movie.
So this was one that we picked mostly because we were scrolling through Netflix looking for a classic thing last week, and neither of us had. I don't think we'd ever even heard of this movie before.
I had seen it on like cable TV, like back in like the 90s and 2000s. I think Comedy Central used to show it every now and then.
Did you see it all the way through, or was this back in the days when you'd frequently catch things on cable and just go, well, I guess I'm watching it from here on out?
I just kind of I would just kind of like pop in and watch like a couple of minutes of it, and then I turned it to something else.
Okay.
Yeah, I really didn't know what this movie was about, so yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that it's kind of a basic movie.
Yeah.
Like if Chat GPT existed in the 90s and you asked it to come up with a 4-quadrant movie with a comedic bent, this might have been what it proposed.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Including the somewhat random combination of Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn as the lead characters.
Yeah. Well, I was reading an IMDb trivia. I don't know if this is true because it's IMDb trivia, but apparently it was Kurt Russell was originally supposed to play the male character, but he was doing Tango and Cash, so he couldn't.
Okay. Honestly, I think he was better served in that movie. So
yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I might have to check that out. But yeah, so in this movie we've got Goldie Hawn, who's a lawyer, and she's in Detroit for a business trip, and she pulls into a gas station, and she runs into Mel Gibson, who looks suspiciously like her dead boyfriend.
Yeah. And was this earlier or later? I think that before that, we find somebody being released from prison and being picked up by his buddy.
Oh yeah, that's right. That the guy being released from prison was I can't remember the character's name, but he's played by David Carradine. I'm sorry, I cannot see David Carradine in anything without thinking about how he died. I just like
I can overlook it, but different strokes.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, if that's how you die, it's going to
Yeah.
get brought up every time forever.
Yeah, that's DRHINO, do you know how David Carradine died? I can't hear you. You might still be muted.
Enlighten me.
Oh, okay. He was this was what, about 15 years ago.
Mhm.
He was in Thailand, and
Oh,
he
okay.
was
That's okay. Say no
well,
more.
No, it's different.
okay.
Different than you think.
It's
Okay.
not quite what you think, but yeah, he was trying to do something to himself, that he was having some happy time with himself, and he was
Hey,
getting a
there
little
was a
too
belt around his neck, and
belt around his neck. He pulling a little too hard. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Again. Yeah. I knew where this was going. It's gonna have to be around that subject, of course.
see, honestly, Thailand. There's a wide variety of things that could have gone wrong.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
off this topic,
Yes,
in
let's
terms
see.
of
Let's
things he
see.
did right, he was actually a pretty decent villain for this one.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And the other villain was Bill Duke, the actor, who most people remember from Predator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And because and we find out that they're actually corrupt DEA agents, and there was a drug bust that went wrong because Mel Gibson's character stopped it from happening, and but then but he got arrested, and then uh, in order to avoid jail time, he turned on them, and well, of course, what's weird is that it was the FBI that relocated him, or did witness protection with him. It's actually not the FBI that does that. That's U.S. Marshals. But
That's roughly as good of research as they showed throughout the entire rest of the movie.
yes. But yeah. So Gibson's character, he's in witness protection. He's working under a new identity, and I did like in his introduction scene where he plays a prank on the owner of the auto parts, the auto parts shop where he's working. And if you know anything about Mel Gibson, he is a huge practical jokester. Like, he always plays practical jokes on people on the movies he's working on. But so then
He pretends that the car has crushed him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. He's got the fake legs, and of course, and then when you meet him, though, you kind of realize that, okay, there's something off with him, because he talks about how, oh yeah, my dad was selling hair combs in Tennessee, and he said, I thought you said your dad was a hog farmer in Kentucky. Oh yeah.
He moved around.
He moved around, yeah. So you kind of, right off the bat, you're like, okay, there's something off with him. And then when Goldie Hawn shows up, and he's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, because she recognizes him, and that's a bad thing when you're witness protection.
Right. Yeah.
Especially when one of the corrupt agents just got in there and deleted all mention of him and all of his identities over the years from the database.
Right. Yes. And the corrupt FBI agent was Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day.
Oh, is it the guy who like would meet him first thing in the morning?
Yeah, Phil Connors. Ned.
So the two of them meet up, and they end up in sort of a road comedy situation where you have these two agents who are, multiple FBI agents trying to chase them down.
Yes. Yeah, because the owner of the auto parts store where Gibson's working gets killed, and they think he did it. The police think that they did it, and so they're not only running from the bad guys, but they're also running from the cops. And so Gibson's trying to figure out how to to get out of it, and so he goes back to all these different identities that he had to try to work his way out of this situation.
I'm going to say that's going to sound really funny and sad.
Yeah.
If I compare this movie to last week's movie, Starman,
Mm.
somehow it feels like the police and the military cared more about these two than they did about an actual alien.
Yeah.
Or at least they were in more hot pursuit because you felt like the characters were in danger more often.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And but yeah, and of course the climax of the movie is in they end up at the zoo in St. Louis because he the whole thing is he's got to get to St. Louis because there's this old guy there that's like a friend of his that can help him out.
Right, like he had been his agent with the in the FBI, handling his relocations for years, but he had recently retired.
Yeah, and yeah, of course. And then when they get there, they get to St. Louis and they see him. They find out why he retired because his memory isn't what it used to be.
So
Um,
completely useless to them.
yeah. So then so yeah, they go to the zoo and they have this whole big climactic fight with a lot of different, you know, in the whatever the rainforest era. So you had area. So you had a lot of carnivorous animals in there.
Lions and tigers and jaguars. Oh my!
Yeah, and chimps were in there.
Yeah.
There's some chimps.
Okay, so the animal lover, nerd, wannabe biologist in me was just so offended by that last scene. I eventually just had to throw up my hands and stop thinking because that might be the worst exhibit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like if the humans can climb out of something, the tigers surely can climb out of it.
Yeah.
And there were no clear dividers between the different things. It's like, okay, how did that iguana not become tiger chow at some point?
Yeah.
Or chimp chow for that matter?
Yeah.
But so I think if we look at this from like a strengths and weaknesses perspective, major strength of the movie is the sheer imaginativeness of the set pieces.
Yeah.
Because you get a wide variety of scenarios. You get a cool car chase, including a scene where you suddenly have this motorcycle cop who's chasing them when were they on a motorcycle or a bicycle, or they weren't?
They were on a motorcycle. Yeah.
Yeah, they were on a motorcycle and they managed to clear this cement. The cop does not.
Yeah.
You have a scene where another scene where they're on a motorcycle driving through a hair salon. You have them high up in the air, moving between two buildings across a narrow beam. And Mel Gibson's stunt double did a great job with that one. Because funny how whenever he was dangling off the edge, you didn't ever see his face.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
Yes.
But like the big you have a scene with them at a horse or at an animal hospital where they're fighting guys in a helicopter with his really badass ex who Mel's really badass ex who like is really handy with that shotgun.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah. And they had the whole chase with the helicopter and the plane, the biplane. Yeah. Probably most of the movie's budget probably went into that whole sequence.
Yeah, that and the whole thing with the animals at the end.
Yeah,
because this was before they could just CGI a tiger in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this has better action scenes than some more legit action movies we've reviewed.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. And what was interesting too is with Gibson's character, like he's not like he's not some like government agent. He's not a soldier or anything like that. He's just like a guy who, if he knows any fighting, it's from, getting in fights in bars.
Right. Rough and tumble con man type.
Right. Yeah.
And Goldie Hawn's character is just completely out of her depth.
Oh yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of a bit of Romancing the Stone, kind of a similar vibe to it.
I've never actually seen that movie.
I've seen parts of it. I've never seen it all the way through.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll have to throw that onto the list. But
Mhm.
now, as far as possible weaknesses, this would also be one of the strengths too. It's weird. It took a
Mhm.
while for it to grow on me. Mel and Goldie arguing with each other starts off annoying and gets better as the movie goes along.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like the scene in the hotel was kind of getting frustrating because it was like they weren't talking to each other; they were talking like at each other.
Hmm.
It's just like and he's in the shower because he took some buckshot in the butt, so he's just like, I got
Yep.
shot in the butt, here. And
Right,
she's just getting on him like, what did you do? You thought you were dead.
right, right. It's like I sympathize that you're in this awful situation because of his bad choices in the past, but
Yeah, yeah,
what is he supposed to do about it in the moment?
yeah,
But the chemistry does improve as the movie goes along.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I would say that I found some of the way that they it was interesting. Like one of his past identities had he had been a hairdresser and he had clearly been pretending to be gay for everybody there.
Yeah.
That kind of just came off as genuinely uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah, especially when he's talking to his old boss. It's like,
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's the entire joke of the scene was gay.
yes, in more ways than one. I don't know if I could say that on YouTube.
What he means is that the it peddles in somewhat offensive stereotypes, but it doesn't have the decency to wrap a better joke around it. The offensive stereotype is the entire basis of the joke.
Yes, thank you.
Um, and while I often can, while I'm not the one to get bent out of shape about that, it just came off wrong.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's it was a decent movie. It's I can kind of understand why it's not talked about more,
Right, which is weird because I we looked it up and this movie made like almost 140 million dollars at the box office in 1990.
which is
Like,
a good haul. Yeah,
yeah, especially for this sort of movie. Like, this is not a swing for the fences type movie. This is just two name actors. I jokingly said this was a Chat GPT 4 quadrant movie, but you got action, you got comedy, you got romance,
yeah,
you got a wide variety of situations. You got comedy. If I didn't say, did I already say list
yeah,
comedy?
yeah. Yes, a comedy. Yeah.
But, well, they tried to do multiple types of comedy, so we'll say that that's why it counts.
Okay.
Twice.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't bring a kid to this one at all.
No, it's a little. I think it's PG-13, but it's
Yep,
still a
that's
little.
right there on the. Yeah, I'd say it's kind of skirting the edges of PG-13 in places.
Yeah, it's the language isn't bad, but it can get a little, especially the climax was pretty violent.
Yeah,
Uh, but
so but if you're an adult type person, it was on Netflix though. It just left on the 30th. I guess the license ran out.
yeah,
So not sure where you could watch it today though. Uh, so when I tried to find a picture of the cover for it, all I found were people's photos of the VHS.
yeah,
So I don't know if it's currently available on a more modern format.
yeah, good,
Let's find out.
yeah.
Bird on a Wire. Okay,
Um,
it did go to DVD eventually and Blu-ray.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, another quick note I wanted to make. Little odd thing, but the director of the movie, his name was John Badham. I believe that's how you pronounce it. He also directed Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, like that. This is a weird movie. Like
Yeah,
it feels like it doesn't actually exist, even though we clearly watched it.
yeah,
Like, what was it? Was it in Last Action Hero where they're in the VHS store and they have the movies that don't actually exist.
Yeah.
The Blockbuster, the movies don't actually exist. That's what this feels like. This feels like a fake movie that would be on like the wall in another movie.
Yeah.
Also, it's named for a Leonard Cohen song, but then they have somebody else cover it for the soundtrack.
Yeah, it was that was Aaron Neville.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
if you told me, oh yeah, there's totally a movie that's named after Leonard Cohen's song, but they cover it with Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn in an action comedy. Like, what? That sounds fake. You're making this up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a thoroughly decent time. It's just not one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
But just to do a little bit of last-minute shilling,
Yes.
who is one of the all-time greats? Good buddy DRHINO, or Dr. Hino, since he refuses to specify a pronunciation for his handle. His upcoming novel, Gods and Goddesses, Children of Ragnarøkkr, available now for pre-order on Amazon. Sounds like the Kindle one is up right now. It sounds like the print will be coming in a few days once it clears. So
I hope so.
Oh, it'll clear. I think you'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. The only people I've ever known who really ran into trouble with it, well, me one time, because I post my novels on places for free first, and then I take them down before I put them on Amazon. And the lazy person at Amazon linked me to a random chapter I had put on Reddit. Like, oh, see, this book is available online. Well, if you followed the link that came up when he did his Google search, the deleted. In fact, he might have even chosen the one where, okay, no, it was one where it was deleted. But I said elsewhere on the Reddit posts that, yeah, this book is no longer available because it's going to Amazon for their exclusivity.
Yeah.
That happened on either my second or no, it was my third book, because the third book's MAGPIE Wizards production was really cursed. Besides that, the only other people I've ever known to run into trouble with it were people who were publishing actual adult erotica. So,
oh yeah, no, that kind of kills me too. Is that I was really hoping to use Amazon's marketing strategy, but since some illustrations are mature and not like erotic, but just mature, it just automatically just, oh nope, you can't. But I'm like, dude, you what you have, like,
right,
dessert and all that.
You guys had this on Prime Video.
Oh no.
I only think of this show because some friends and I watched it a couple episodes. Then my dad, he decided to try anime, and it was on Netflix. And of all of the anime on the entire platform he could have chosen,
oh man,
no, your dad knew what he was trying to get into. No, we're not. when you see a cover, when you see that, I'm like, there's no way.
Look, we all know that Netflix. He probably just thought the title was funny or something. But
yeah,
we all know that Netflix has this weird habit of choosing still images to promote their shows that are like a minor character at best.
Yeah, like John Leguizamo for John Wick.
Yeah, like I don't know why they're thinking sometimes. But I know we are thinking. We're thinking, go get your pre-order.
Indeed, yes. Links will be in the I'll put the link in the chat again real quick, and then I'll put the link in the description, and also for the re-uploads too. So
yep. We'll try for maximum shillage.
Indeed, yes. Well,
I need it.
well, yeah. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always. And thank you, DRHINO or Dr. Hino, or however you want to be called, for
DRHINO.
Yeah, yes, for joining us. And of course, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week. Night,
Yep.
everybody.
Good night.
Peace out.